It's the Hell Fucking Yeah podcast.
So welcome Corey Rieman to the Hell Fucking Yeah podcast. Dude, this is great, man. I mean, we kind of know each other, but this is our, we've only texted each other. So this is our first virtual meeting.
Yeah, at least, yeah. Eye to eye meeting.
Eye to eye, right. I mean, this is how we do it these days now anyway.
Yeah, no, it's it's hard to say, face to face at this point, but I know it definitely is eye to eye.
Definitely. Where are you living? Are you in Connecticut?
Yes, sir. I'm in Avon, Connecticut.
Nice. It's a nice area over there.
Nice place to grow up, but then after that, it gets questionable.
Yeah. I lived in Connecticut for a little while. I'm in New York now, but I lived in Middletown for a while.
Nice.
Like 8 years or something like that. Crazy. I can't believe I'm back in New York now, and it's just that 8 years feels like 8 minutes. It's crazy. So let's get into this, man.
Awesome.
Let's do this. Your band, the Dilemma. How long have you guys been together?
We've been together 3 years, 4 years. I'm, with what you just said, where things become kind of like a blip. I'm like starting to get to the point of I'm remembering things from 20 years ago, and it's like what? No. That's not a sensation I want to feel. That's bizarre.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I hear you on that.
3 or 4 years, that becomes it's like a blip.
Yeah. So first of all, are you in a fucking Guitar Center?
I've my living arrangements have arranged me into living in what looks like a Guitar Center.
Awesome, man. Awesome. You got a couple guitars there. What's your favorite one?
Oh, that's like picking children. Jesus. So I've got. I'll see if I can move to that for my electric pick. That red Strat seems to be the one that I always go back to.
Go to.
And then of the acoustics, this is the guitar I've wanted since I was a little kid, and the Gibson J45. That thing is just, I guess if I had a desert island pick, that would have to be the one.
Gotcha. How long have you been playing guitar?
Oh, no, because you're making me do one of those. 10 years. I think I'm just about at the 10-year mark.
10 years.
It's so weird to think that. Oh, no. Yeah, no, it's been 10 years.
So, I mean, after listening to your music and, the little that I've heard, because there's only the one album and the new single, you're amazing, man. So what made you pick up the guitar?
Necessity. So my first band when I was in middle school, I was just the singer, and I wanted to write stuff, but being a singer who has no instrument, you had to rely on other people, and I wasn't feeling like I wanted to do that. That was not in my agenda. So I was like, I guess I have to learn guitar, because the band already had a bass player. Trust me, I would have wanted to do the whole Paul McCartney thing. That would have been cool. Like, look at that man still, goddamn. And I was like, we have a drummer. As cool as that would have been to, Don Henley, myself, that another one, goddamn, if I could be choose people to be and I should have started on the keyboard. I really should have. That was my thing. But I was like, I can do so much more with a guitar, and it came out of necessity. And I started just wanting to be good enough to not look embarrassing. And I guess I kind of got hooked.
Yeah. I mean, watching some of the live videos and things like that, you definitely have a stage presence. So, you're definitely not shy. I mean, you're up there, you're singing, you're playing the guitar, and you're doing it all well, but you got these fucking moves, man. Where'd you learn them?
Oh man. So, yeah, no, at least on stage, I'm not shy, but I mean, long before I was a performer, I studied music. I loved it. I was a fan long before I wanted to play and be on stage. And I still do this. I learn a lot from just watching people perform, and just they're just little things that you pick up over time and that feel natural. Like, 'cause let's get real. Every musician plays air guitar. You have your moment in your head where you're in Madison Square Garden and it happens. You have a mirror and like you think about it and over time you're imitating your favorite people. And to me, Peter Wolf from the Jay Giles band was awesome. He was a madman. He had, and David Johansen, those guys, like when I was younger, were like, that was how cool looked. Like you had the guys who came up with the whole, frontman thing between James Brown and Mick Jagger. Yeah, and they did their whole thing. And obviously you've got like your pretty boys like Robert Plant, but no, like the guys who kind of had both going. Though, and those two in particular. Oh my, so cool.
Absolutely. So what would you describe the sound of the Dilemma?
I mean, if you needed an overarching term, I'd go with an indie rock band, and I'd go really with the etymology of it in being indie rock, because we're independent of I guess regular confines. So you've got to go with a genre that doesn't have a clarification based off of its sound, because even if you listen to the Land Ho album, there's a bunch of different things going on, and the different influences come through very clearly. They manifest in a certain way. And the four of us in the band, we have very, very distinct different tastes. And even each of us have within ourselves multiple personalities, as it were, musically. I'm looking at my, like I have the record shelf just within eyes reach. There's a Doors album, there's a Little Feat album, there's a Wendy Carlos, there's a whole bunch of just all over the place things that manifest. So indie rock, I think, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's like an umbrella for everything. So besides yourself, who are the other members in the band? So
the other guys in the Dilemma are myself, Cole Morrison, who in his own right is a phenomenal singer, but he's amazing guitarist and great musician. And the two of us in the front have a very, very special dynamic. And then Cody Bondra, he and I have always, since we were both starting out again about 10 years ago, we've always on and off, we've played every instrument in every one of our bands. And Cody's amazing because he plays bass, he plays guitar, he can play the keys. Like we're working on a new piece that, and this is the first time I'm experimenting with two people playing keyboards at the same time. We have Cody Lord. He's both people who play bass in the band and go between things are named Cody. Cody Lord, he's our main bass player. He's another one who can play everything. He for the most part, everyone in the band does multiple things. And then Bruce Wilson is our drummer, and he's incredibly special in what he does. He's a jazz trained, metal obsessed drummer who for high school he went to the Magnet for the audition one for performance,
right?
Magnet school. And and despite the fact that he was a metalhead, he was studying jazz. He was studying jazz on the drums. And all of us have these very weird, quirky ways and means of how we got into the positions that we got ourselves into.
Yeah. So who would you say your biggest influences are as far as guitar?
So guitar wise, okay, so this is funny. So since the pandemic started, we've been doing from the Dilemma, we've done our show Dilemma Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And that started out of necessity in the other week, or I guess last week. Or this week, it was this Monday, we did a whole show on guitars, and I actually came up with a list that I never got to reference. Like I was just like my just top of my head, the guys, I made like a 15-person list of just the top of my head, who are my favorite guitarists, not necessarily the greatest of all time, but my favorites. So on the top of the list forever and always will be Eric Clapton. Oh, like there's a reason they called him God. There's perfection, the only man to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 3 separate times. Phenomenal. Everybody else, he took everyone who came before him and encompassed it, and then everybody after him imitated him.
Absolutely.
Lowell George from Little Feat. He, you know, the slide playing, this funkified country music that Little Feat created, with him on his slide, it was phenomenal, so cool. One of the guys who just made guitar just look and feel really cool, Peter Frampton.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's a shame that he kind of gets this, because it's almost ridiculous. He almost looked so pretty that people didn't acknowledge the fact that this is a phenomenal guitarist. Like, David Bowie hired Peter Frampton, because they were when they were friends when they were kids, and he in the 80s, the Glass Spider tour, David Bowie was like, Peter, you're kind of in this like slump in your career, but that's like ridiculous. Come be part of my band. And
yeah,
the two of them did that. Phenomenal. Alvin Lee from 10 Years After. My moment that made me really actually want to care about guitar was the anniversary of Woodstock. I must have been 16, 17 years old. And I was asleep. I fell asleep at the beginning of the movie on my couch. And I wake up and I miss whoever it was that was playing. And all I hear is this wailing. And I find out after it's 10 years after. And I'm like, that's cool. That's insane. Yeah. Neil Young, Tom Scholz from Boston, Peter Green from the real Fleetwood Mac. Pete Townsend was why I picked up a guitar in the first place. I love The Who. I love The Who.
Yep.
I thought I wanted to be Roger Daltrey, but I realized I play and sing a good deal like Pete Townsend. There's three guys named Pete on this list. Leslie West, may he rest in peace. My parents are both from Long Island. I'm a Long Island Jew at heart. I was born in Connecticut. I'm a transplant, as it were. I ended up here. But yeah, no, and big Mountain fan, huge Mountain fan. Mick Ronson from Bowie's band. I've got a few Bowie guys here. Yeah. Nile Rodgers, Buddy Guy, Howlin' Wolf, Bob Weir, Mark Bolan from T-Rex.
Yep.
It's all over the place, but I was a classic rock guy.
Yeah, no, it's not, man. It's a fucking phenomenal list, number one. Where did you grow up on Long Island?
I didn't grow up on Long Island. I'm a transplant in Connecticut. Both my parents
are
Long Islanders. Like my grandfather, his parents came here from Europe. I feel sometimes, culturally speaking, New York is a hell of a place. I culturally feel like my parents came from another country sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm in Long Island here now.
Very nice. Kind
of like right smack dab in the middle. So, yeah, this place is crazy.
It's you've got everything. You want to talk about the American melting pot that happened in New York between the island and the city. That's right. What happened. And it's great because you have the best food in the entire world.
I will give you that. We definitely have the best pizza, Italian food.
Chinese food. Like
Chinese food. Yep.
It's a barren wasteland. Especially as of late, a bunch of the good Chinese places they disappeared, but best Chinese food.
Yeah, I gotta say, when living in Connecticut for a good amount of time, besides New Haven, it was really tough to find good pizza. I mean, New Haven's phenomenal,
and it's a very unique pizza. But no, like when I eat a piece of pizza, I want it to flop over the sides of my hand, like the little like the hospital drip of grease going down just ever slightly. Like that's the perfect slice of pizza. That's how pizza's supposed to get done. And don't even get me started on that garbage that they have in the Midwest that they claim to be a pizza.
Yeah,
we did a whole Gillette Monday episode about pizza and had this debate.
Yeah, man, I could talk about pizza pretty much all day, but. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I like it like that too. It's got to be, I've been around the country and, even other countries, and nothing compares to here as far as pizza goes.
I know my dad, when he was a kid, he went to Italy and he was disappointed. He's like,
yeah, it's different. Yeah.
At home.
Right. Yeah. We've Americanized it and made it what it is, but
therefore we made it better.
Yeah, exactly.
We did what we do.
That's right. Steal and make it our own and make a lot of money off of it.
Amen.
Whatever works. So speaking of going around the country, have you been on any tours with the band or anything planned? I know we're in a pandemic, but
I did some touring myself, and we play all over the place. But my tour story, I had done. So I have a condition called Marfan syndrome. I have a version of it, and a friend of mine, Liam Nelson, he's a phenomenal filmmaker in Atlanta. He decided we'd both been in the hospital about a year apart from each other, and he decided his next film project was going to be a documentary. And we knew each other, so he was like, you should do some of the music for this. And yeah, the theme for the film and a few of the other songs that are used, I made the music for. So while he in the film, it's yet to come out, but because things happen.
Yeah.
And he's been working on it for a few years, and it was sad. Like it was like almost done. But a while back, I think this must have been 2 years ago at this point, 3 years ago, possibly. Again, time is getting confusing.
I hear you. Yeah.
To judge. But yeah, I went on a mini tour with him. He came up to New York to do some filming for the documentary, and he came up here to Connecticut, did some filming, and then I went back down with him, and we did a few promotional dates where he showed the trailer for the film, and I performed some of the songs from the film and just other stuff because hey, I was traveling around and it was a good time.
Right.
And so I did that. But as far as the band goes, yeah, we do engagements all over the place. Yeah, we had this really fun gig in Rochester year and a half ago, and it was an 80s themed gig with the Dado Corp, and they were really, really, really fun. They always do really fun events when they hire us. But yeah, we got to stay out in Rochester, and it's a fun city.
Yeah.
They care. It's a city that loves music and good music. Every place has a venue. There's musicians playing, and I mean, even we had finished the gig, and we were just really bored at the hotel, so the four of us, we decided to just in the middle of the night, it must have been 1:30 in the morning. We were walking, or 12:30, 1:30 in the morning, walking around. Just, it was freezing cold. It was crazy that we had gone out because it was the middle of January, and it was freezing cold. But we walked like all the way down from like pretty much the edge of the main part of the city all the way down to the Kodak building, which is like the way other side. And we saw everything in the still of the night. And there was this bar, St. Paul's proper. It was a pizza bar, and they were just closing. And we were trying to find somewhere to eat because we wanted food. We really wanted food.
Yeah.
One of those moments. It's like you're in a hotel, and you're just like, I want to do something.
Right.
And we were looking for food, and this place, we just closed, and we're like, it's all good. Wait, you guys musicians or something? Like, they knew there was something, I guess, how pathetic we looked or something that said, you're musicians, and you seem hungry. And they gave us like all of like their leftover pizza.
Oh, that's great.
It was beautiful. And we walked back to the hotel, freezing, across that gorgeous bridge there's that brewery. I cannot think of the name of it. It's like a big local, upstate New York. Beer, kind of like what Yingling used to be to Pennsylvania, but now that it's broken, everyone has it. It's one of those kinds of things.
So what would you say like is your most memorable show you've done so far, live show?
Okay, so
I know that's tough.
There are two that come to mind. So as a Long Island guy, you'll probably appreciate this. And for me, again, both my parents being from Long Island, we got to play at the new My Father's Place. And I had gotten to know Epi, who owned the original and the new one. That's at the Roslyn Hotel. I had played some shows that he was promoting throughout Long Island. I had gotten to know him a bit, and we got to headline a show at My Father's Place at the Roslyn Hotel. And my dad saw Blue Oyster Cult at like the original My Father's Place.
Wow.
Like, that was cool for me. That was a really cool moment. We filmed that, and we have a bunch of those performances on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that was I guess that was special. But then this summer, so with everything with the pandemic and whatnot, and this is maybe my favorite show to just the performance end, we got to play at the amphitheater in Walnut Park in New Britain, Connecticut, for their summer concert series. it's like a big band shell.
Yeah.
Like really like classic looking. It's cool. It feels like a mini version of the Hollywood Bowl. It was
Okay.
it was really, really neat. And despite I mean, it was like it was the safe it was at especially during the summer, it was a safe packed. There were so many people there. It was a huge stage. We brought every light that we owned in our arsenal. Plus they had the huge stage lights. It was so cool. It was blistering hot.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was song 2.5. My drummer and I were already both shirtless, and I try to keep my shirt open very often. Open shirt, whatever, but the shirt rarely comes off.
Right.
But you know what? It was a moment. This sounds gross, but the lights were like glistening on it. The photos that came from that night were so badass.
That's amazing.
My brand new Adidas sneakers, like it was.
Yeah.
Aesthetics might not be the most important thing in music, but when you're performing,
Yeah,
why not feel glamorous, feel fantastic?
Right. Especially,
Ridiculous.
if you have that moment, just go for it,
Hell yeah.
So yeah, so I was looking at the website. You have a show on Long Island, actually, March 9th this year. Is that happening still, or?
Oh, March 9th.
I forget the name of the place. And I should know it because I live here. Oh, here we go. Revolution Music Hall.
Oh, so that was that was our last show before the pandemic. I can't believe that's like coming up on a year. And the Revolution was a fantastic venue that unfortunately was taken out by the pandemic. It was an amazing place where, indie artists, local artists, they had some killer metal shows. And I got to play there 2 times. But yeah, that was our last show, and coronavirus was a joke. It was I remember having my Corona on stage, like, yeah, whatever. This is great.
Right.
That aged well. Oh God, it was, and it's crazy to think that was our last show, and it was a stellar show.
Yeah.
Love that place. You know that? Have you seen the TikTok of the band with the 2 guys with the bowls on their heads?
I think so. I don't really use TikTok often, but I think I've seen it.
I happen to know these guys because they used to play at the Revolution all the time, and it was a really, really, yeah, Adam and the Metal Hawks, that's their name.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that was that kind of venue. It was a rock club in every sense of the word. It was a rock club.
Wow. I'm ashamed that I've never even heard of it. And it's sad to see it's gone. On your website, just so you know, it does say 2021.
Does it actually?
It does. That's why I was asking. I was like, are you guys really doing it? I would love to show up, but the place don't exist, and obviously the date's wrong.
That's a typo that therefore been there for a year.
Fair enough. So your latest full-length release, Landho,
yes.
question mark. And the new single and video, Fix You Up, is that out now?
That song is coming out. It'll be out soon.
Okay. I mean, the video's available, but as far as the single goes, is there another full length coming anytime soon?
So I have a bunch of songs that are lined up, and we're currently working on a very, very fun, and I'm already willing to say it. It's going to be a very fun song. And we're looking at the possibilities. Like, definitely, I'm anticipating probably an EP. Okay. And I used to always joke about the idea of a double EP. Like, isn't that just an album?
Yeah.
To a degree, I'm starting to get that. No, what should have been considered a double EP. 2112 by Rush. That should have been a double EP. The whole front side, consider that just a separate thing. That's because it has nothing to do with the other songs. There's like 7 movements inside one. We are the priests of the temples of Sarah. Like, so good. But that, to me, that is like the proto double EP. But I used to make fun of those, but like now that I'm getting into it, you have a bunch of different ideas that kind of correlate, kind of things that don't. I'm getting that now. And some of the songs that we're working on, like Fix You Up, it has stuff there are musically things that have to do with Landho, I guess, to a degree, that kind of, you can hear where one came from, but it's moved differently. And the thinking is, and I think that this is something that's sticking with me a good deal, especially this last year. Once this is over, people are gonna want to go out again.
Big
Like
time.
it's gonna be a madhouse.
Yeah.
Once the clubs can get packed again, they're gonna get packed, and people are gonna want to dance again. And these songs have danceability. This next song, like the song we're working on, it's called Synthlust Wunderbar.
Okay.
And I was thinking about all the cool stuff that came out of West Berlin and West Germany in the 70s. You had all these electronic artists like Kraftwerk, Tangerine Dream, New, like these really out there artists, and then a bunch of like these English and American guys who were already established were like, there's something going on. Donna Summer and Giorgio Moroder recorded in West Berlin. David Bowie's Heroes was in West Berlin. Like those 3 albums in a row, those Bowie albums, some of the best stuff he did. And then he brought Iggy Pop over to do oh my god, the Raw Power.
Yeah.
That was in Berlin. And then Lou Reed did Berlin, and he did a lot of things in Berlin.
Yeah. He sure did.
I love Lou Reed.
Yeah.
He decided to die on my 18th birthday though, which really pissed me off. That the asshole died on a Sunday morning.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, right. Sunday morning. That was the Velvet Underground. Yeah. So I love this song, Fix You Up. And I'm very excited to hear this one you're talking about here. But I love the video. We're going to get to the video in a little bit. But you got to tell me about this song. And there we go. There's the hat from the video. I heard it once and I said to myself, I need to get this guy on the show. That's all it took, man. It's that good.
Thank you so much.
And no, seriously. And if anyone out there is listening to this, go check it out. Fix You Up. It's on YouTube by The Dilemma. It's just, it's exactly kind of what you're saying. Like, it obviously has classic vibes to it, but you can kind of hear a lot of those influences in there that you've been mentioning. And it's just so good, man. The hook is amazing. It's just, I personally love it.
We wanted to do, I wanted to make something that sounded like, especially nothing we had done previously. And just, I wanted to test things. There's some science experimenting that's happening with that song, and how you listen to it, the format that you listen to it. It forces you to listen on multiple things, multiple devices, because it's not hidden messages. I'm not going to like tell you, I'm not like trying to, convince you to like sell your soul to the devil. And if you listen, if you play it backwards, I'm not going to tell you about cranberry sauce. But there's science going on, and it's like part disco, part metal. It's fun.
It really is fun. It has an energy to it and like a punch to it. And you really don't hear that a lot often, So who produces these tracks?
So I record them. We also record sometimes with Diane Davis at Melba Studios. She Land Ho, I kind of was like, on this one I want to, because it was a bigger project. And it's nice having the extra ears and the external input on something like that. But I produced, she engineered. But this one I produced and engineered on my own end. And I've always I want to be, I know that no one can be a master of all things, but there's different things that I like. There's different aspects to the recording side that I love doing. We have our own studio. It fascinates me. Guys like David Bowie, I always appreciate it because he was just as good of a producer as he was a performer and songwriter.
Absolutely.
David Bowie got me through high school. David Bowie was is like, that's goals. And that one of the reasons was he was just as good of a performer as he was as a producer. And I liked having the ability to kind of play around. I know these songs better than anybody else. And I know that you can use the production, the engineering, and the final product as part of the storytelling that's going on in your lyrics and your music.
Sure.
You can emphasize the thing, we get to emphasize and fix you up as an example of that. It's sound engineering theater, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see it and hear it in the track. And by the way, on a side note, have you ever been to the did you get to see the David Bowie Traveling Museum when it was around?
I did not. My closest to David Bowie relics. Well, I never buy like signature model guitars, but that white one right there, there's only 400 of them in the world.
Wow.
It was a David Bowie Supro signature, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they have a bunch of his stage outfits. And the way that they do their displays there, I'm glad that they're opened up again. I know, because and as controversial, it's like an organized religion, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You don't like a lot of what's going on in it, but you still have your faith in it.
Right.
And they literally have a glass temple on a lake. So there is something very, very pseudo pious about it. But yeah, the Bowie display that they always have, so cool.
Yeah.
He was perfection.
He really was, man.
So cool.
I actually got to go to the one in Brooklyn when it was going around, and it, like you just said, it was like a religious experience, man. It was amazing. Just to be surrounded by all of his writings, even his like scraps from notebooks and his apartment key and his Coke spoon. I mean, just the list, it was insane.
Those little things that are part of stories.
Yes.
Be able to, it's great when the whole reason you want to know about things and you want to learn about stories is to have the knowledge of it. And then when you get to see the things that actually made it happen, when you see an instrument, or I guess in this case, a Coke spoon for the thin white Duke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very white.
Right.
Yeah, no, he, those things, for better or worse, made history. They made moments that cannot be changed.
Let's talk about the shows on PPRN.
Yes.
So we're on PPRN together. I have my shows, but we're not here to talk about me. Let's talk about Dilem Monday. Well, that's not a PPRN show.
So it gets rebroadcast on PPRN, and Dilem Monday. That was like, I want to keep engagement during the pandemic with people who love the dilemma, the community that comes around it. Bands create communities. And those people come to your shows all the time. Those people bring other people to their shows. They have events at your shows. They use your shows for this, that, or the other thing.
Right.
So during this, the biggest thing was, how are people going to stay engaged, and will they keep their focus online? Because if they're not, we're really going to have to figure something new out.
Right.
And my idea was, let's do like a weekly, like kind of roundtable-ish sort of show. Let's do a kind of, I wanted something that was very carefree, non-controversial. The show, it's non-adult content being discussed in a very adult manner. I call them the Disneyland rules. No politics, no, I mean, your foul language is one thing, but like, don't be a dick about it.
Right.
The irony. It's like, don't. But I want to have very cool conversations on topics you're not going to think about, and with weird people that you're not going to think about. We did a whole show on Betty White one time, because like, how did Betty White become the like icon she became, and especially so late in her life? She's been around since forever, and she's had iconic roles, but all of a sudden Betty White is an institution.
Right.
We talked about that. We had a show about pizza. We talked about the 1964 World's Fair and the amusement park that used to be where Co-op City is. Freedomland, USA. Yeah, this metropolis that now exists there, this housing development, is literally on the grounds where an amusement park that was twice the size of Disneyland existed.
Yeah.
And there was a rivalry between Walt Disney and C.B. Wood, the guy who founded Freedomland. And Walt Disney decided we had a whole show about the Disney parks as well. But because I'm one of those nut job losers who's, you know, obsessed and really
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, no, and so we did a show about how they had a rivalry, and the 1964 World's Fair was like Walt Disney's FU to CB Wood, because he was like, I'm going to design most of the attractions at this, and it's going to be great.
Yeah,
we talk about all these things that are non-controversial, non-adult topics, and we discuss them in a very not necessarily adult manner, but in a manner that these topics might not have previously been given the opportunity to be discussed in.
Right. I got you. So, where can you hear the show? So do you do it live? Let me ask that first.
So Dilemma Monday is live on Mondays at we do it 9:30 p.m. from the Dilemma page, which is the.dilemma.band.official on Facebook. That's where you can find that.
Okay.
And then on PPRN, it gets rebroadcast on Tuesdays at 5:00 at drive time. And I'm going to try to figure out, I tried this week, I was doing my best, but when I was listening in, my times were very off on on the show, because I was trying to think, okay, if we started at this time, that means we're 30 minutes in, which would mean it's that time on tomorrow.
Right.
And I make a very big deal about how it's both the past and the future on the show, because you're going to be listening to it or not.
Right.
It's fun to just confuse people. And on Facebook, especially, because their confusion is right there, like live in front of you. Like you don't get to know at drive time what people's minds are thinking. So
right.
And I like that something that this live discussion gets to have a second live run to a degree. It gets the opportunity to have that. And I think we might start rebroadcasting those as well. I've been saving those.
So it plays on Monday night. I mean, it's live on Monday nights, replays on Tuesday nights on PPRN. Is there any way, if you miss both of those, is there any other way to hear it?
Yeah, you can find it on the Dilemma page. And
okay.
I'm thinking about, we're going to start archiving it, I think, maybe to a podcast format, possibly YouTube.
Cool. Definitely. Now your second show, you have another show on Sunday nights, not Sunday nights, I'm sorry, Sunday afternoons at 2 p.m. called Choreorama Live with Corey Rieman. So what's that all about? And yeah.
So
tell us what it's all about.
So the origin with the name Choreorama, my friend Andrew Diamond and I, when we were kids, we both I mean, we loved music, but we were into like making like movies and stuff, and we wanted to do like a web show. This was like at the way beginnings of like YouTube being like a really cool format, and everybody was starting to do web shows. There was the Nickelodeon show iCarly, which, by the way, my whole thing, the Choreorama Live idea predated iCarly, I want to say, by 6 months. I'm looking for residuals from Nickelodeon. It's ridiculous, but no, but we wanted, because that was like becoming a trend. Now it was kind of what podcasting is now. It's cool. It was a really cool way to get your ideas across in your own format, in your own wave, and look what happened with that. Look how that went. So, but we were children. It would have been very hard to do it, but we had a few episodes of the show where it was like half sketch, it wasn't comedy, like thinking back at it, but we thought it was.
Right.
Stupid stuff, and that's always been my username for things, because it stuck. I liked it. It was a silly name, Choreorama, and I always wanted to do kind of like a radio show in some way, somehow. I always thought it'd be cool to do like a deep cut show, like a really like FM style, really like, do deep cuts, and now that I've known like people for 10 years, I have friends who are musicians. I've been finding out about local musicians and just in like really indie musicians. I love the fact that I'm from, the Facebook generation. I've gotten to know so many musicians on Facebook through like Facebook groups and stuff, and they have fantastic music that deserves to have a platform to be played. So like, sure. I like getting a good mix of genres. I like getting a good mix of just different kinds of songs, like the most unpopular songs by the most popular artists and the best songs from artists you never heard of. And it's not like an ego thing. It's not, but it's just like I have a lot of songs that go through my head, and like, actually I have I have last week's thing still on my desk because I do
Yeah.
that one. There's no visual for. That's just radio, which
Right.
I treat it as such. I want it, whether it's online or no matter like what it is. To me, a radio show, there's a style to that. There is an art form
Absolutely.
to doing radio, and radio
Absolutely.
should be treated. You give your call letters. You do things. You format it. You do it right, even if
Right.
it's so. Like I do it from my desk. I keep my window open during the day or whatnot. On Sundays though, at 2 p.m. that thing gets closed. My loft here gets shut off to everyone else. I close the door to my room. No,
live from Guitar Center.
pretty much, yeah.
You know, I have 2 shows on the network. They're right behind me here. The Best Shit You Never Heard, which is very similar to what you're doing. We neither one of us obviously copied each other, but we have a similar, approach is what we're doing.
An ethos, yeah. We have a similar ethos with a different delivery.
What I do instead is I do like themes. So each show is a different group of things you never hear on the radio. That's basically what it is. Me personally, I am horrible at speaking by myself. So I keep my talking on that real short and I just kind of play the music. Now the other show is kind of similar to your Dilemma Monday. I'm not obviously talking about my band because I don't have one, but it's my wife and I, and we just kind of talk about stupid small shit, like stupid things, and no politics, no religion, no anything like that. And it is very adult, but we just talk about little stupid things. So me and you, man, we're kind of on the same wavelength.
I love that. Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
It means we both have a good idea going.
Apparently. I love it, man. I think it's great.
Last week's show, like people are enjoying it too. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
The silver linings of this whole pandemic, these formats we might not have, come about doing, like thinking of doing shows about just things like and I was always familiar with public access. I had friends who, both music people who, my friend Bill Benson, I produced both of his albums. I was one of the producers for the first, and I was the producer and the engineer on his second one. But he did a whole show at the Nutmeg Public Access Network, and it was he had a very popular public access show, and he brought it online. And he didn't want to do it during the pandemic because he had so much good content. Like every local person in the world did his show. And then I was also I'm friends with the guys who do public access and chill, who fun comedians, Kate Clancy and Brian Barganier, and Zach Habron. He's the guy who did our video, the Fix You Up video. He's their producer. And those guys, they've really pushed the boundaries of the public access format, and they do so many different things. And having that idea, the public access idea, but running and functioning as your own network, there's some power to that, but it's fun because it's a really cool creative outlet and a very cool, like, Creative Commons.
Absolutely, man. I just kind of fell into all this. I had a business for a while. I had a barbershop, but I ran solely. It was just me. And the pandemic happened and shut me down, and I never went back. I just started doing, doing like these little things. I started doing this, and I love it, man. I do this like all day, every day now. I'm on podcasts and radio, and now I'm getting back into DJing. It's like insane.
Media, it's fun. Like
it really is, man. And people say it's dead, radio's dead, and I don't believe that.
No, it's adapting, it's changing. Radio, the radio show is going to, whether or not it's happening through an FM or an AM signal, radio itself is radio.
Right.
Radio is a frame of mind. It's gone from the utility itself to being just the premise, because think about how web shows, they call it whatever TV or something .tv. It's not television, but it is, because it's how it's formatted.
Yeah, absolutely. So before because we're getting a little close on time, let's get into the video. You just mentioned who created the video, right? The director.
Yeah, Zach Habron. And I guess I kind of did some of the directing. He did some of the directing.
Yeah.
He does, he's learned to be a incredible filmmaker. Like it's very indie. And check out, the Public Access and Chill guys, they have a Roku channel. They put their network on a Roku channel.
That's awesome. Wow.
And
you see, that's essentially what we're doing here too with PPRN,
You're finding different mediums. People I know,
right.
There's that gaming service, Twitch, that people are starting to do things on. Like that's an open frontier. I see opportunity in it. I hate the idea of TikTok, but know what? There is so much opportunity. Yeah, those guys, Adam and the Metalhawks on Long Island. I knew them when they were just the Metalhawks. Like, and they broke out and have like hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok because they made a really good video.
Right. I love this video. I like the color of it. Do you know how that was achieved?
So I wanted when I know
it's technical,
Zach,
but
when I was talking to Zach, I was like, I want to make this a little bit off-putting. The song is about being put off, about being out of your norm, and that's part of where the sonic storytelling of those the mixing goes. And I was like, I want to achieve something that's part of that. And a lot of the training he had with the public access stuff, he's one of the guys who can restore your old videotapes and put them to a digital file.
Right.
Vice versa. He can take your put them to videotapes. And I was like, this song has multiple parts. I want just like how the editing and the mix goes, I want the video to accompany that, and having that kind of, there's that kind of dusty, that sandiness from some of it, and then that bright, almost like the LED looking light. And I can tell you that end, the LEDs, the very technical term, they're LED lights that we have in my garage. That entire thing was filmed in my garage.
Right. Wow.
No sound stage. There's no anything. It was the garage. It was, and it had elegant trashiness to it.
Yeah, it really does, man. That's a perfect way to put it. I love the editing too. Especially more towards the end, there's like a lot of quick cuts, and
I think what comes with that, he's a drummer.
Okay.
He's the drummer for the band OK and the Night Crew, by the way. Listen to them. I play them on Choreorama Live. They're their lead singer Derek O'Connors, who just put out an EP. And as I said, I'm a community guy. I like making sure everybody gets the love they deserve. But Zach is a video editor who's a drummer, so he has a very good sense of timing. A lot of the comedy that he produces, a lot of it comes down to the timing.
Yeah.
And he has I told him, this is meta. Let's make this meta. And let's make this kind of give the video some perspective to kind of what's going on in the song and the lyrical content of the song. Like, let's make that video work with that. And he knew exactly kind of what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
Hey, man, I said it before, but the way you move around, especially in this video, is worth the watch alone, man. It's great. So for the people listening to the podcast, you're not going to see the video during this, but you'll hear the song. If you just hear the song, you got to go see the video. So check it out on YouTube. It's on the Dilemma page, right?
Yes. So it's on dilemma.band.official. On Facebook, that's our Instagram. We would love some more people on Instagram. I've had that Facebook page for like ever. So like that was always the thing we focused on. So we have like a ton of people on Facebook, but we have like nothing on Instagram.
I know Instagram's tough, because it's hard with links, and you can only use pictures and whatever. And Facebook's easier.
I've had it for so much like less time.
Right. I know.
It's like, but yeah.
I deal with the same thing with the podcast. I have a lot of followers on Instagram, but I don't get much interaction because it's just, here's a picture, This is just
Facebook. I like it. Community. There's so much more community on Facebook.
Exactly. The group pages and everything, it really all comes together. So we're going to play Fix You Up by The Dilemma. But before we go, I have to ask you a question. I ask everybody.
Yes.
On a scale from 1 to hell fucking yeah, how stoked were you to be here today?
Hell fucking yeah. No,
All right.
I'm, I've got, we've got very similar mindsets. We've got
Yeah.
similar points of view on things, it seems. So like, I'm down with this. I like what you're doing. I appreciate that you enjoy what I'm doing here.
Absolutely.
This is fun. If there's, there's so much miserable stuff. That's my whole thing with Dilemma Monday.
Yeah.
There's so much just garbage happening. There's so much like miserable stuff that is getting discussed. There's so much cool stuff too, whether it's happening now, happened in the past, or things that we want to happen in the future. There's stuff to talk about that isn't miserable.
Absolutely, man. And that's what and that's what I try to do here is like talk about the art, and forget about all the noise and the nonsense. It's a much smaller group of people that want to listen to it, but I'd rather have, 1,000 people who like what I do than a million people who, want to hear me scream and fight about something. It's just not my thing.
No, it's having people who are committed to what you're doing for no reason besides they love what you're doing is a great feeling. People are interesting. We're destructive and we're chaotic and we're fascinating because of it.
Yeah, exactly. So Corey, with that, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And don't go anywhere because we're playing Fix You Up by The Dilemma. All right. And obviously we'll keep in touch and maybe we can do like a crossover one day or something on the shows.
I'd love to have you on Dilemma Monday. And because you're cool, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You too. You too, man. You're insanely talented, man.
Thank you.
And I know you're going to be, selling out arenas eventually. So
I appreciate that.
Don't forget me.
Absolutely.
All right, Corey.
Bye. I'll talk
Thanks,
to you.
man. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Peace.